Helio Castano is the CEO of Uniting Americas and an internationally recognized business leader known for building successful partnerships in Latin America and North America. He was featured by Hispanic Executive Magazine for his accomplishments in cross-cultural leadership and his impressive track record on cross-border mergers in the Americas. For over 2 decades, Castano has successfully integrated numerous cross-border company acquisitions, executed aggressive cross-cultural market expansions, and established effective manufacturing and commercial operations across the Americas. With 20 years catering to the Hispanic consumer in the food industry, 15 of them in the U.S., Castano leverages his cross-border knowledge of the consumers, the regulatory environments, the different labor challenges, the local commercial and distribution infrastructure, the manufacturing practices, and the cultural differences to reliably deliver effective and successful business relationships among American and Latin American counterparts. He's been trained at institutions in Asia, Europe, Latin America, and the U.S., including Harvard Business School, Stanford University, London Business School, and Wharton, among others.
Helio, it's a pleasure to have you on.
The pleasure is all mine, Hector.
Helio, I know that Uniting America's mission is to enhance successful cross-cultural enterprises in the Americas. Why did you decide to make this your life passion?
Because I truly believe the opportunities to be had by leveraging our complementary diversity in the Americas are enormous for those wanting to expand their market. If you're a company doing business in one insulated section of the continent, you may not only miss on capitalizing on larger opportunities, but may also be putting your business at a competitive disadvantage for the long run. The movement to more open America markets will continue. Uniting America wants to help business leaders be on the leading edge of this market transition, so they're the first to benefit from this foreseeable trend.
What do you mean by our complementary diversity?
What I mean is our geography, our culture, and our economies.
Okay, would you please elaborate on each?
Sure, let me talk about our geography first. If you think about the American continent as a unit, a huge market opens up. When this occurs, we've identified 3 important competitive advantages. A, the landmass that extends all the way from Kaffeklubben Island, the most northerly point of land on Earth, to the islands of southern Thule next to Antarctica, is large and varied in many ways. It offers a variety of climates, ecology, and concurrent seasons. This variety is significant for many industries. This landmass also provides many natural entries for trade. It has 2 natural shipping corridors with the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans on either side, and a water bridge in the middle with the Panama Canal. There are vast numbers of navigable rivers strategically located in the widest land sections, which include massive fertile plains across all of the Americas. And C, the natural water barriers provided by the oceans have impacted immigration patterns. This has many cultural consequences with a unique security mechanism that will become relevant in the future.
I have never visualized our continent the way you just described it. I guess we're so used to looking at it through the lenses of our current socio-political biases that we fail to imagine what we could do if we think of our continent as one large region. But going back to the 3 aspects of our complementary diversity in the Americas that you'd referenced before, the second one was culture. What is unique about the different cultures in the Americas that would be applicable for trade and businesses in the future?
As I mentioned, the historic immigration patterns in our continent have cultural consequences. I'll reference 3. A, language. In this landmass, there are only 2 predominant languages. Of the 1 billion people in the Americas, almost 80% live in countries where either Spanish or English is an official language. This number goes up to 99% if you include a 3rd language, Portuguese. No other major landmass in the world has the convenience of having only 2 major languages. B. Religion. In this hemisphere, there is one predominant religion. Christianity is practiced by 86% of the population. This is a data point without political inferences. So having one predominant religion provides an unusual affinity foundation that facilitates building rapport, trust, and understanding among people. And finally, C. Capitalism and democracy. Capitalism and democracy, for all practical purposes, are embedded in the population throughout the Americas, even in those countries currently led by governments with other inclinations or by de facto dictators. Now, don't get me wrong, there are many infrastructural, socioeconomic, and cultural gaps among the different nations in the Americas, especially between Latin American and North American countries. Uniting Americas exists precisely to help business leaders bridge those gaps, particularly those business leaders faced with any of three cross-cultural enterprises. 1, a merger and acquisition in the Americas. 2, a market expansion. Or 3, improving cross-border operational alignment.
Now you got me intrigued. Why focus on those 3?
Because that's when United Americas can create the most value for clients. These 3 types of cross-cultural enterprises in the Americas, mergers and acquisitions, a market expansion, and cross-border alignment, represent at the same time very complex challenges for them and enormous opportunities for their businesses. Therefore, it's where our expertise and tools become the most relevant.
Hey, that makes a lot of sense. But what about the third aspect of our complementary diversity that you mentioned before, our economies? How does that make us more competitive as a region?
The economies complement each other. This is due to diversity with regards to developmental stage, industry focus, and available resources. These 3 variables should guide a country within the Americas to focus on those activities that are the best fit for its current circumstances and outsource the ones that other nations in the region can perform in a more effective manner. The United States, for example, is exceptionally well positioned for research and development activities, but labor-intensive manufacturing is being gradually transferred to the South. On the other hand, PhD students and scientists are being drawn from Latin America to the North, where most basic R&D is happening. This places all evolved countries and the region as a whole in a stronger position to compete. Not only does it enhance trade within the Americas, but also net exports to the rest of the world, which happens to have 6.5 billion potential consumers, or 87% of the world's population.
So what's stopping us from making this happen?
We need to realize the opportunities are there without imposing artificial boundaries in our thinking or the way we do business. Luckily, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We have abundant experiments that have taken place in the recent past, some of which are being conducted as we speak. I'm referring to the thousands of cross-border company mergers between North American and Latin American entities. United America's partners have been fortunate to have led several of those M&As. In a micro scale, these experiences provide abundant lessons learned on how to do it right and what to diligently avoid. The most critical aspect of any merger is to build an effective and integrated team composed of individuals that belong to distinctive cultures. People and culture are ultimately what makes an integration successful or not. When done right, the value created by combining complementary capabilities across cultures allows already effective organizations to achieve an even higher level of competitiveness. I can proudly say that we have consistently doubled the consolidated earnings of the different cross-border businesses we've integrated in the Americas. This encompasses companies with sales of $20 million to mergers of $1 billion in revenues. Now, harvesting these synergies while minimizing disruptions is easier said than done. However, for those that are wise enough to pay the appropriate attention that such delicate processes demand and have also the willingness to execute what is required to be successful, the returns of these investments are enormous.
Helio, this tells me a lot about the first cross-cultural enterprise that Uniting Americas focuses on, which is mergers and acquisitions. But what can you tell me about market expansions?
With regards to international expansions, we've been able to set up and incubate businesses from scratch, growing them organically over the $100 million threshold. Our experience in this area also includes international crisis management and cross-border business turnarounds. It's important to clarify, however, that cross-cultural market expansion in the Americas not always implies a cross-border enterprise. Many American companies are struggling to effectively cater to the US Hispanic market, and this is not a trivial matter. We're talking about almost 60 million consumers with a purchasing power of $1.5 trillion, which is equivalent to the GDP of the 10th largest economy in the world. This diverse, dynamic, and booming market represents enormous challenges and opportunities for both North American and Latin American businesses.
So is the third type of enterprise, cross-border alignment, as exciting as the other two?
It is, because we live firsthand the pain points resulting from inefficiencies in a cross-border enterprise. Each Uniting America partner has over 2 decades of real-world experience in a particular function of the business. We therefore cover all 3 areas of opportunities of any cross-border operations, which are people, supply chain, and sales.
And how do you specifically impact your clients' companies? What are the tools and services that you provide?
We are organized in 3 divisions to provide comprehensive solutions. The first one is consulting and training. We have international certifications, and finally cross-border services. When we engage a new client, we bring a powerful tool with us, but we adapt to the specific of each organization since each company is unique, and every enterprise also demands its own game plan to succeed. That is why I love my job. Each day brings a very exciting challenge to conquer and many learning opportunities in the process.
Hey, you seem to enjoy difficult situations. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I believe that anybody can be a good leader in calm waters. It is when the storms arrive that true character comes out and all of your skills are needed. Those are also the moments when you can learn the most and positively impact people around you. Therefore, yes, I do like storms.
I agree. Helio, this has turned out to be a really exciting conversation. Would you like to share any final thoughts with our viewers?
Sure. If you are faced with any of these 3 cross-cultural enterprises in the Americas, mergers and acquisitions, a market expansion, or cross-border alignment, don't hesitate to reach out. You don't have to do this alone. We're here to help.
Thank you, Helio, for your kind offer to our viewers. It was a real pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Hector. I enjoyed it.